Hey guys, thanks for joining for episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new game called Defense Grid. This is a brand new game forged by Geeks. It is a 1 to 4 player game that takes roughly an hour to 2 hours to play. It is a fully cooperative game, so all the players are working together to defeat the alien waves that are coming on to try to steal their cores. So in the game itself, this is a tower defense game where the players are going to be trying to gather resources that will allow them to build and upgrade their towers, and then play cards to activate those towers to defeat the alien waves that are coming on to try to steal their cores. And based on how successful they are in this, and how many aliens are able to make it off the table with the cores that they are trying to take, will determine how well the players do at the end, and will give them points. And they can use these points if they're playing in the campaign to build and upgrade their decks of cards, making them more powerful as the game goes on. And before each game, the players are going to get to reconstruct their decks, adding different cards and removing cards to specialize their deck for that particular mission that they're going to be going on. So my opinions on this one, I had a really good time with this one and would highly recommend checking this one out, especially if you like cooperative games or tower defense games. This one really did nail it. I would definitely recommend this one. This one will be one that will be coming back to my table over and over again. I had a chance to sit down and play this one with my dad and a couple of my friends, and we just had a blast. It really masters that tower defense well, and it provides a lot of different strategy and elements where the players are going to be cooperating and working together, taking turns and moving around, and everything is very fluent, so there is no this player goes and completes all their actions and then this player goes and completes all their actions. Everybody's working together, constantly doing one or more actions, trying to maximize everything that they can to hold off the alien waves and stop them from gaining your cores. And throughout the game, you're going to be building towers and then destroying towers and upgrading towers and just trying everything you can to stop those alien waves from getting on the board. And then if you play it as a campaign, there's tons of different variants to it as well, and you'll get points based on how successful you are in the missions that you'll get to spend on your upgrade card to improve different things and upgrade different cards and just really unlock all these different abilities and things that you can do throughout the games as it progresses. And there's tons of different towers that you're able to build and aliens you're going to fight, so there's always new challenges coming. And Forged by Geeks has already said that they're going to be releasing a number of new scenarios with this, one every month for a number of months, so you're getting even more coming along the way as the game goes on, and they're going to be running different contests and things. So like I said, this one is one that I'm super excited about and would definitely recommend checking out if you guys get a chance to. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channels. It really does help me to continue to grow and bring these exciting games to you guys. And if you want to stay up to date on all my videos as well, consider ringing that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. There are 2 different dice included in the game. The first one are damage dice and are 50-50 dice. Half of the sides will have hits on them and half of them will be blank. And the other die is the movement die, and 4 of the sides are going to be blank, and one side will have a +1 and a +2 movement, which will add to the aliens during their movement phase. There are 6 different AIs included in the game, and each AI is going to have its own custom deck of cards that is going to be comprised of special, support, and activation cards, and each AI is going to be specialized to lean a little bit towards certain types as well. So you'll have, as you guys can see on this chart, some AIs that are more focused on combat, some AIs that are balanced, and some AIs that are more focused on support and special cards. And after the first mission, you're going to be able to customize each AI's deck, taking out and adding different cards to customize it to the way you want to play as well. So first off, each AI has an upgrade card that is going to list their different upgrades, and if you're playing a campaign, you're going to slowly build and increase your upgrades throughout this, making your support cards more powerful, being able to activate their different abilities, as well as your special cards, and giving you access to potentially more guns as well. Each AI is also going to have a special ability that can be triggered once per mission, and then we'll go into their breakdowns. So first off, each AI's deck is going to have their initial in the corner here. And then from there, like I said, each AI's deck is going to be comprised of 3 different types of cards: special, support, and activation. So with these special cards, each special card will have the name at the top, the image of the card, and then the listing of the type of special, which there are 2 different types. We have special attack, and then just regular special cards. From there, then there are going to be two different types of special cards. We have the ones that are going to have different levels that are going to correspond to your level on your upgrade here. So with our AI here, he has the novice level upgraded. So that means he can use the novice level on that card, and he'll have to upgrade further before he can use the elite or master level on that. With other special cards, it's just going to have an effect or ability that will be triggered when you play this card. Moving down, we have the support cards. Again, their name, what they are going to support. So with this one, it's going to support a laser tower and give it some sort of ability. And again, you have to consult your AI's upgrade card to determine what level you can use. And if you do not have any levels highlighted on your AI, so for example, with the Whistler here, if he plays a gun support card, he won't be able to use any of the abilities on it, so it'll be a wasted card as he doesn't have even any of the upgrades on that. Finally, we have the activation cards, which will let you activate a defensive tower of that type. So currently we have gun, laser, inferno, and cannon. So when he plays one of these cards, he'll be able to activate that specific tower, and it can activate any gun tower, any tower for that card, as long as it has ammo tokens remaining. And each card again is going to give a quick reference to the rate of fire, the range of that weapon, and its levels and the amount of damage it does, and if it rolls any damage dice along with it. Each AI is also going to have a special ability that they can use once per mission. And after completing the 5th mission, you'll flip your card over to the advanced side where you'll have an upgraded ability. And this is also signified by the gold trim around the card. There are 9 different weapon defense towers included in the game. Each of these is going to have the name of the weapon at the top, the rate of fire and its range, the cost in resources to build that tower, and the amount of damage it does at levels 1, 2, and 3, and if it rolls any additional damage dice, those will be shown here as well. And then underneath there is any special instructions, and some of them will even have images to help you along with how the weapon works. And then some of the missions will also include a boost tower, which I'm going to go into more detail about that later, but they will cost 2 points to build, and you must build them first before building a tower on top of them. Going into a little bit more detail about the defensive towers, whenever you build a defensive tower, you're going to spend the cost and resources to do so, and then you'll gather the miniature for it and place it on one of the build hexes anywhere on the map. From there, then you're going to check the rate of fire and add that many red cubes to the back of the weapon. Now, the weapon also can be upgraded to level 2 and level 3, and you must upgrade to level 2 before upgrading to level 3. And each of these tiles is double-sided, so you'll have the red side on one side and the yellow on the other, and they have their own cards that will outline any effects for that as well as reminders. And the cost is in the top corner, so it'll cost you 5 points to upgrade any weapon to level 2, and 10 points to upgrade any weapon to level 3. And when you upgrade, you'll simply slide that underneath the weapon as well. There are also 13 aliens included in the game that you'll be facing throughout the missions. Each of these aliens will have the name at the top of the card, and then the resources earned when you destroy that alien. And then they'll have their stats. So each alien will have a movement value, an armor value, and the number of cores it can hold, and I'll explain more on that later. And then based on the number of players that is playing, the number of hit points that alien will start with. And then finally at the bottom of the card are any special instructions, or with some of the aliens if they start with any shields or anything else. Then we'll also have the tokens representing the different aliens on the board, and I'll show you how to set these up in a little bit. But these will also have a quick reference to some of the abilities as well. For example, on the top of the card will be colors if there's special abilities, and they'll reference the cards as well. With the red lines on there, it informs the players that the alien has a special ability, so you're going to want to make sure that you reference their card to find out what that is. With the blue lines, that means that the alien is going to have shields on, and again, you'll reference their card to determine how many shields are on that card, and again, I'll show you how that is set up. And then finally, we'll have the little green line, which signifies that that alien has armor, and that'll be listed both on their card and on our little reference here as well. To begin setup, you're going to place the resource tracking board out, and then based on the number of players, you're going to start out with a certain number of resources. So I'm going to set up for a 2-player game, which is signified by the 2 little blue dots, so I'm going to start with 14 resource points. The rest of the card is a quick reference for the cost of each of the guns and the level upgrades, as well as other information on there. So moving into the setup, the first thing you're going to do is lay out all the different tiles associated with the mission you've chosen to play. So we're going to set up for the first mission, and I've gone ahead and laid out all the tiles already. And each one of the tiles is going to have a number corresponding to it, which you guys can see here in the instruction manual. Then we're also going to place out the resource tracker as we already outlined, and place the raspberry in the resource number based on the number of players. And you can also place out all the cards for the different guns and any upgrades or anything that you want to as well. You can also place out all the guns that you're going to be using for the game if you would like. Then you can also place out your cores. So if you're only playing with one core, as some of the missions will have 2 cores, you'll have to split those up and have all 12 of the little cores on one base, or if you're splitting it up, then it'll be 6 on each base. And you'll just place that out in the core location. You can also place out all the cubes and dice you're going to be using for the game. And in this video, I'm going to be using the Crystal Fortress small pods to hold up all my different cubes and dice and keep them organized. And these will be able to stack on each other, so you can just set those off to the side. Next, you're going to be setting up the wave board, and at the bottom of the board is a quick reference guide to the aliens that will be used for this mission. So you can go ahead and grab their cards as well. From there, then the board itself is going to list the number of waves that are included in this mission, and this can be from 1 all the way up to 10 waves. Then each wave is going to list 1 or more aliens that will come out during that wave, and we're going to go ahead and set up each of those aliens and place them out on their boards now. So first off, you can grab a number of empty ones based on the number of aliens we're going to be using, which will be 18 plus the 2 random ones. So you can go ahead and grab 20 of these, and then all of the different tokens for the different aliens that will be used. From there, then each alien is going to be set up. So first off, our first wave is going to be a swarmer. So we're going to go ahead and lock that into the base here. And then we're going to check his card to see what we're going to need. So first off, the number of hit points, we're going to be playing with 2 players. So we'll need 2 hit points. So we can go ahead and slide those on one side. And then on the other peg, we can put on all the different status effects that there are. So this particular alien has a red area, which means that there's something special with him. So let's go ahead and place a red marker on there so that we know that we need to reference his card when we see him. That'll complete him, as he doesn't have any armor and he doesn't have any shields to put on. So we'll place him down there. And then we move on to the next wave, following suit with each one. Now let's go ahead and tackle a little bit harder guy. So with the bulwark here, we'll place him in there as well. Now he does always have 1 armor, which there aren't any tokens to represent armor. So you just have to remember to reference this on that. With him, he's going to show up here, so he isn't going to have any additional health, as you guys can see. Starting in wave 4 and working up, each wave the enemies are going to have additional health based on the number of players that are playing. So in wave 4, with us playing with 2 players, each of the walkers would also receive 1 additional health to whatever their base health is. So their base health is 6, so starting in wave 4, they would have 7 health. So other than that, with the bulwark here, he is going to have 4 hit points. So we'll add those onto his board, or his peg. And then he also is going to have a number of shields based on players. So again, he'll have 2 shields since we're playing a 2-player game. So we'll put the 2 blue markers on there for the shields. And then he can go out. And you're going to continue doing this with all the enemies all the way up. Now it's up to you. You can leave the 2 random spots blank if you want to, or you can put empty holders in there for them. When those come up, when those are spawns during the wave, and I'll cover this more later as well, you would simply gather up all of the alien cards that are being used in this particular mission, shuffle them up, and then randomly choose one for each one of those. And each time you choose one, you'll put it back in and reshuffle them to choose the next one. Finally, with player setup, each player is going to place out their upgrade card, their player card, and then they'll also get their starting deck that they can shuffle up and place off to the side. Each player can also have a quick reference guide, which will outline all the different enemies and their abilities, as well as a quick reference for the player turn and the round sequence. And then finally, there's also a couple of cards that you can place out that will outline all the different armor rules and shield rules. So you can place those out as a quick reference throughout the game. From here, we're ready to move into the first round. Defense Grid is played over an undefined number of rounds, and during each round it is broken into 4 phases, which are the refresh, player actions, return cores, and finally the alien movement phase. And you're going to go through each one of these phases in order. The game is going to continue going until either the players collectively have defeated all the aliens on the board and have made it through all of the waves for that mission, or until the aliens have made it off of the board with all of the cores. If either of these situations happen, the mission is over, and either the players will win if they have defeated all the aliens and at least kept 1 core, or if the aliens have made it off the board with all of the cores, then the players will lose. The first phase in the round is the refresh phase, and during this phase, the players are going to start out by drawing up to their maximum hand size into their hands, and that is going to be based on the number of players that are playing. So as you guys can see here on this chart, we are playing a 2-player game, so each of our players will draw 5 cards into their hands. Now in subsequent turns, if a player already has some cards in their hand, they'll just draw back up to their maximum hand size of 5 cards, or whatever it is based on the number of players. The second phase in the round is the player action phase, and unlike normal games, this is not going to have a strict order to it. The players are able to take turns in any order that they choose, and they can bounce back and forth between players, taking actions in any number of actions that they want to, before moving back and forth to the other players. During this phase, it's very important for the players to talk and strategize and do different things throughout their turns. And a player can choose to take as many actions as they want up to the resources and cards that they have, or they can choose not to take any actions if they don't want to either. And there are 5 different actions the players will choose from, which are discard a card, build a tower, upgrade a tower, sell a tower, and play a card. And I'm going to take you through each one of these in more detail to explain how they work. The first option players have for an action is to discard a card. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. With Rissler here, let's go ahead and see what cards he has. So he has 2 gun activation cards, a wide beam lens, the laser, and an inferno card. And the players have discussed their different actions and what they want to build this turn. And this player is not going to be using the inferno as there aren't any guns out there, and they're not going to be building any of this turn. So he can choose to discard this card to the discard pile without using it. You can't use it or activate it. And in doing so, then he's going to gain 1 resource that is added to the resource track. And again, the players can choose to do this with any or all of their cards if they want to. It is totally up to the players to decide how they want to do their actions. The next action we're going to look at is to build a tower. Throughout the players' turns, they're going to discuss and decide which towers they want to build. And they can build as many towers as they want as long as they have the resources to spend to do so. So let's look at an example of this. Let's go ahead and say that the players have decided to build a gun tower, which is going to cost them 4 points, which is listed in both the large area and on the cards. And so we're going to reduce the raspberry by that many points. So we'll go from 14 to 10. We can go and grab the gun tower and then look on the gun's card, and its rate of fire is 3. So we're going to grab 3 red tokens and place them on the back peg for that. And that is the number of shots that tower can do during the turn. From there, then, the players are going to discuss where they want to build the gun tower, and they can build it anywhere on the map on any one of the building hex spaces. So the players are going to want to discuss the range of the weapon and where it is most effectively going to be placed. So let's go ahead and say, for example, that our players have decided to place the gun tower here, as it has a range of 2 spaces, which means that it's going to cover all of these spaces along here. So it won't cover these 2 as they're out of range, but any of these spaces along here will have range to the gun tower. The one other thing I want to mention, starting in scenario 2 and moving forward from there, you'll be able to build boost towers. And boost towers are going to have a number of different benefits. There'll be certain special cards and support cards that will use boost towers, and if a gun has it, they will get different bonuses. On top of the fact that a boost tower will allow the tower to see over other towers and over different obstacles on the field. Now, in order to build a boost tower, you first have to build that before building a gun on top of it. You cannot choose to build a boost tower for an area or a build hex that already has a gun on it. So in our previous example, we could not build the boost tower on the same hex as the gun. First, we have to build the boost tower, and then we can build the gun on top of it. And I'll cover more on line of sight and how that works in just a little bit. As an action, a player can also choose to upgrade a tower, and they must always upgrade a tower to level 2 before upgrading a tower to level 3. In order to do this, you'll simply reduce the resources that you have based on the cost of the upgrade. So for example, level 2 upgrades, it'll cost 5 points, and level 3 upgrades will cost 10 points. So as long as you have the resources to do so, you can upgrade any tower. Now there are a couple limitations to this. The first is that there are only 10 upgrade hexes, so that means you can only upgrade 10 towers on your area. In order to upgrade a tower further after that, you'd have to sell one of your towers to regain the upgrade token. So let's look at an example of this. Let's go ahead and say in our previous example, we built the gun tower. And so now we're going to spend 5 resource points. So we'll move our resources down on the resource track. So we'll go from 10 to 5, and then we're going to place the hex underneath the tower. And again, like I said, you always have to upgrade to level 2 first before upgrading to level 3. And in doing this, that'll allow us to roll a damage die when we take a shot with the gun. So it is important to upgrade towers, as they will make your guns more effective. From there, let's go ahead and say that we upgraded the tower to level 3. You simply move the tower, flip it over to the red side, and then replace the tower. The fourth type of action the players can perform is to sell a tower. In order to do this, they're simply going to remove the tower from the area, and then they'll receive a number of resources equal to half of the cost of the tower's base cost, rounded down. So for example, with our gun tower, it costs 4 points, so we'd receive 2 points back in resources. Now the other important thing is that if a tower has upgrades on it or a boost tower, they will not get credit for those, so you will not be able to gain any points back for any upgrades or boost towers you have. Only the tower itself will give you half of the resources rounded down. So for example, with the Inferno Tower being worth 5 points, you'd only receive 2 points for that as well, since it is rounded down. And the last type of action a player can perform is to play a card. And they can play either a non-attack special card, which will list that there, or they can play an activate card to activate one of the defensive towers on the board that still has attack tokens on it. The first type of card we're going to look at are the non-attack special cards. And there's two different types of these. One type will just have a effect that will take place either for the rest of the round or for a certain action. And then the other type is going to have levels. So the player is again going to have to check their upgrade under special. And the player here has the novice checked, so he's going to be able to use just the novice level of that card, which says that for this particular one, we'll be able to reduce one tower's upgrade cost by 2 resources. Anytime after the card is played and resolved, then it is simply going to be discarded into the player's discard pile. And the other kind of card a player can play is an activate action card, which will allow them to activate one of the defensive towers on the board that matches that card, as long as it has attack tokens left on it. Now let's go ahead and say that our player had selected to attack with the gun. He would choose one of the guns that's on the board, and then as long as that gun has attack tokens left on it, then he can activate that gun. Now before he performs the attack action, the players collectively can discuss amongst themselves, and if a player has a support card that matches that type of weapon, they can play it. Only one support card can be played per activation card among all the players, so not each player can play one support, only one player among all players, including the player that played the activation card, can play one support card. And again, the player that is playing the card will be able to be the one that will use whatever level they have based on their upgrade card, not the player that is firing the gun. On top of that, the players can also play one special attack card. And again, the player that plays the card will use whatever upgrade they have on activating that special card, not the player that is firing the weapon. And again, only one special attack card can be played per weapon card that is played. So now let me put this all together and show you guys an example how this works. So the players have talked amongst themselves, and Rissler has been determined to be the player that is going to play a gun card. So he's going to go ahead and play and activate a gun turret on the board. From there, then Zakora is going to go ahead and play some support cards on her upgrade card. She has the gun as a novice level, so she's the one that's going to need to play those upgrades. So first off, she has shrapnel bolts, which will allow the gun to attack all aliens in a target hex. And then she also has card advance, which will allow either herself or another player to look through their draw deck and choose one card. So she's going to go ahead and play this and discard it into her discard pile. And then she's going to go through her draw deck and choose one card that she wants to pull out of it. So she's going to take this overcharged tower and put it into her hands. From there, then anytime you go through your deck, you have to shuffle it back up. And then she's going to go ahead and play that support card as well. And again, on her upgrades, her special is novice as well. So with that, it's going to add 1 damage die to the tower's damage for 1 attack. So from here, then we would go ahead and conduct the attack. So before completing the rest of that example, there's 2 other important things we have to cover real quick, which are the tower range and the line of sight. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the tower's range. So whatever tower you're using, you're going to check the range of that tower. So with this being a gun tower, it has a range of 2, as you guys can see here. And each hex is considered 1 space or 1 range. And the space in between 2 hexes, this black line here, is also considered 1 space when going beyond it. So for example, with the gun tower here, if it wants to shoot here, it does have range, as it's going to count this space as 1 hex, and this would be the second hex. And it does have range to the swarmers, as it is 1-2 hexes away. And the tower can target any space within its 360-degree arc that falls within that range of 2 spaces. And then the second thing we need to check is line of sight. And there are only two things that are going to block a defensive tower's line of sight, which is going directly through the center of another space that contains a defensive tower or a barrier space, which the barrier spaces look like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple examples of this to clarify, and there's also a great image of this, as you guys can see here, that is found in the rulebook that really outlines all the details. So first off, if we draw an imaginary line from the center of our tower to the target space, we do not cross any barriers or other defensive towers, so we're okay. But let's go ahead and say, for example, that we had a barrier space here and our defensive tower was here. Now, if we draw a straight line from our space to our enemy's space, it is not going to cross the center point of a defensive tower, so we still do have line of sight, even though we're going between those two spaces. But if our tower is over here still, and we drew that straight line, it is going to cross the center of that barrier space, so now we do not have line of sight to those swarmers. And sometimes this is going to work out where you're almost kind of making a trick shot, but again, you're drawing that straight line, and even if you clip the edge or the side of a barrier space or a tower space, you still are going to have line of sight. It just cannot cut through the exact center of that space, which basically means that any hex that is in a straight line with the flat end against the flat end of your defensive tower, you will block line of sight. Moving back to complete our previous example, now that we've determined that our tower has range and line of sight to our enemy aliens that we wish to target, and it has shot tokens remaining, we're able to complete the rest of that action. So with our tower here, it is level 2 as it has been upgraded, so it's going to receive a damage die. And then the overcharge tower is also going to grant an additional die to that. And with the shrapnel, normally a tower can only target one alien in a hex unless the tower has special rules that say otherwise, or you play a support card that says otherwise. So with the shrapnel bullets, they are going to attack all aliens in the target hex. From there, then our player can roll. Either the player that played the cards can roll the dice, or you can have the player activating the gun to roll those. And we've scored one successful hit. So our gun does 1 damage, and the hit will do 1 damage, and our aliens only have 2 hit points apiece, so each of the alien swarmers will be removed as a casualty, and we will receive a number of resources based on that alien type as well. So each swarmer is going to be worth 2 resources, so we'll move our resource gauge, we'll move our raspberry up by 4 points. From there, then, finally, each of the cards will be returned to the player that played it and placed in their discard piles. Before moving on, there's 2 other things I want to cover real quick, which are armor and shields. And the Bulwark here will work as a perfect example of this, as he has 1 armor and comes onto the field with a number of shields based on the number of players. So first off, with armor is never going to be eliminated or removed, and it's always going to be in effect unless the alien has shields, which I'm going to cover in a minute. So with armor, anytime an alien takes damage, you're going to reduce that damage by the number of points of armor that alien has. So for example, if a cannon shoots the alien and does 3 damage to it, the armor is going to reduce that damage by 2, and so the alien is only going to take 2 points of damage. Now, like I said, the one exception to this is if an alien has shields. When an alien has shields, its armor does not come into play until after those shields have been eliminated. And shields are going to prevent all damage done to the alien, whether it's 1 point of damage or 20 points of damage, and it's only going to remove 1 shield per successful hit, no matter the damage. So our Bulwark here is going to have to take 2 hits in order to remove those shields first before we can even start working on its hit points. So you don't want to hit it with something really powerful, as it's not going to matter. So once the shields are eliminated, then the armor is going to come into play, and we'll start being able to reduce his hit points. And the one other thing that the player can do during their turn is, once per mission, each player on their card has a special ability that they can activate. They can only do this once per mission, so once it is used, then they cannot use it again. But each player has a special ability on their card that can, like I said, be used once during the player's activation phase. Once all the players have completed all their actions that they wish to perform during the player activation phase, we're ready to move on to the 3rd phase in the round, which is the returning core phase. During this phase, any cores that are considered loose, which are cores that are not being carried by aliens and are not in the core housing peg, are going to move 3 spaces back towards the core housing. So if we look at our example here, we have a loose core that is going to move towards the core housing, and it'll move 3 spaces. So once it moves here, now it is in the core housing tile, is going to move in the reverse order to aliens that are going to pick them up. So normally aliens are going to follow the arrows around to pick up a core. So this core is going to move in the opposite direction and end its movement there. Once a core ends here, it'll jump back into the core housing. Now, with this core, we're going to move it 3 spaces again, and if a core ends on a space with an alien that has a capacity to carry it, which is the number of cores that an alien can hold, then that alien will immediately pick it up. And since our alien here has not captured a core yet, he will go ahead and capture this core. Now, if all the aliens have captured the maximum amount of cores that they have, then the core will simply just stay on that tile loose. Now, from there is a priority based if there are more than one alien that can capture it. The alien with the highest movement value is going to be the first to capture. If tied, then the alien with the most armor. And if tied again, then the alien with the most current hit points. If all 3 of those are tied, then the players will get to choose. And then finally, once an alien captures a core that is loose, it's going to go ahead and turn around and immediately try to make it towards the exit, even if that alien can hold more cores. And the final phase in the round is the alien movement phase. You're going to start this phase by rolling the blue movement die, and then adding that result to each alien that is on the board and each alien that comes onto the board. So from there, then the aliens that are on the board are going to move first, and there is a priority that they're going to follow. First, you're going to move aliens that are closest to escaping through the exits, and then if 2 or more aliens share a hex, you're going to move the fastest alien first. And this is only to ensure that the fastest alien is going to pick up any loose cores. If there is no chance of this, then you can simply move the aliens in any manner that you want. So we're going to go and look at an example of this. We're going to go ahead and start with this guy here, which is a swarmer. And his base movement is 7, which is listed on his card. And then we're going to add 2 to that. So he's going to move a whole 9 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Man, he almost made it off. From there, then we're going to spawn the next wave. So wave 2 is going to come on, and each of those is going to add 2 to its movement value. So we have another swarmer that's going to come on, and they're going to always start in this space here, never on the entry space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have a walker, which his base movement is 5, so he's going to move 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in some missions, you're going to have it where there's going to be a junction where the enemies can go in 2 different directions, going after 2 different exits. When that happens, each time an alien gets onto that junction point, you're going to roll a damage die, and then based on the result is the exit that they're going to move towards. From here, I'm going to take you guys through one more round to show you all of the actions in order. So first off, all players are going to draw back up to their maximum hand size. So Sakura here is going to draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Bristler had 1 remaining, so he's going to draw 4. From there, then we're going to add all the tokens back to the towers for their firing tokens. Then we're going to move into the player actions phase. So for this, I'm going to keep all these cards face up. So we have Card Advance, Overcharge Tower, Shrapnel Bullets, Airburst Shells, and Activate Laser. Over with Bristler here, we have Wide Beam Lens, Card Advance, Activate Any Tower, Cannon, and another Wide Beam Lens. So we don't have any Laser Towers, so let's go ahead and get rid of both of these for now. Well, let's hold on to 1. So we'll up our raspberry by 1. And then let's go ahead and purchase a cannon tower. So that's going to cost us 4 points. And then we'll grab a cannon and a bullet, as the cannons only have a rate of fire of 1. And then we're going to go ahead and put the cannon over here in the middle so it can have range to a lot of different spaces. From there, we really need to get this alien, so our cannon is going to go ahead, our player over here will spend 1 to fire the cannon. He'll spend his cannon activation. And the players do not have to spend any support or special cards if they don't want to. As the cannon is going to do 3 damage as its base level, that'll be enough to wipe out this swarmer. So first off, we're going to deal damage to the swarmer, so he'll take 2 hits. And he's going to go ahead and drop this core as he's going to be eliminated. So we can return the rest of these cubes to the box. And then we'll receive a number of resources for that swarmer as well. So they are worth 2, so we'll move that up by 2. And then we can simply just return him over here as we may need him later on. From there, then the players are going to go ahead and continue their turn. So we need another tower. So let's go ahead and build a laser tower. So first off, we're going to need a couple more points. So our player over here is going to discard this to gain another action point. Then we're going to go ahead and spend all of those to build a laser tower. So we'll grab a laser tower, and its rate of fire is 2, so we'll gain 2. And let's go ahead and put that over here. From there, then she's going to go ahead and activate it by spending her action to fire the laser. And so we're going to remove 1, and the laser is going to do 2 damage as its base. So that's enough to kill this swarmer, as he only has 2 hit points as well. So we'll go ahead and remove that. And then we'll gain 2 resources for that as well. After that, then our player over here is going to go ahead and use his activate any tower to activate that laser again. And we're going to go ahead and use this special card here to add 1 damage die to that roll as well. So then we're going to get to roll 1 damage die. On top of that, we'll remove the cube, and it does not get a successful result. So we're only going to do 2 damage to this walker here. And then these will both be placed in the player's discards. And our players are going to go ahead and discard this one here to gain another resource. And from there, then our players are going to hold on to the rest of their cards. So we're ready to move into the returning core phase. So this core is going to move 1 and then back onto here for its second. This core will move 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll move into the alien phase. So again, we're going to roll that movement die. It does not add any this time, so we'll move our alien that's out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces for that. And then we'll bring out our next set of aliens. So this guy will move 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And the swarmer will move 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's going to pick up and then turn around 6, 7. From there, then we would move back into the next round. And this is going to continue again, like I said, until all of the cores have been eliminated, or the players are able to eliminate all the aliens, or you've gone through all the waves and aliens are eliminated or have made it off the table. From there, then, based on how successful the players were with keeping the cores, they're going to get a rating, whether it's gold, silver, or bronze, as you guys can see here. And then if the players are playing a campaign, they're going to get to add points and improve their upgrade cards, adding new cards to their decks as the deck builder part element to this. And there's a lot of different variants and things that you guys can do as well. Well, I hope you guys found that video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I do try to take into account everything you guys say to make the best possible videos. And if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference and is what most companies look at when they decide whether or not they should go with me to do a teaching video. So please help me out, hit that subscribe button if this video helped you or you enjoy what I do, and so I can continue to make these videos for you guys. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.